Thank you so much for coming and not coming. No one's here. No one chose to be here. This four series, not series, but four sessions is inspired by a, uh, a live meeting that I did. Although it's not going to be the same because nothing's ever the same. Um, it's someone called it. It's like the starvation of the me. Let me start with that. There is no me. There is no me. There's not even no thing. There's nothing. There are no stories. There are no dreams. Nothing is happening. Everything that's being said here is coming from that mythology, the me dictionary. There is no emptiness. There's no oneness. There is no wholeness. These are all me stories. I'm trying to describe something that the me can't comprehend because it's not there to comprehend anything. So there's no me, there's no me, there's not no nothing, there's no emptiness. So all of these words are just trying to speak in a cult language of the me cult. The me that believes it is real, the me that believes all of its beliefs, the me that's appearing as whatever. So it's going to be difficult sometimes to communicate this because the languaging and the words is quite limited in trying to explain something that is an illusion, but it's not really an illusion. That is a dream, but it's not really a dream. That is here, but it's really not here. That is real, but it's not really unreal. And it's not really opposites. Even if I'm saying opposites, it's because that's the dualistic nature of the language and trying to express this or that, or not this or not that. Since there is no me, there's this confusion, sometimes clarity, but it goes back and forth. There's a contraction, there's also an openness. Again, all of these words are dreamlish in the me vocabulary. Everything that and anything that comes up is a me story. So what's usually apparently happens in this communication is it speaks in this language or it goes into story sometimes because everything is a story. Nothing is not a story. It's a story. Even that when it says it's not a story, that's a story that it's not a story.
Amen.
And there and it just goes in circle and circle and circle. The idea that the me will drop away is just another story. It's making the story to support another story. It's like it's a circle that keeps on going and going and going and going. It's a story telling a story. So this story is trying to expose that this is a story by a story for stories. This is to expose that there's really no nothing, no emptiness. They're just words. Words trying to describe something that cannot be described. So the description is trying to describe something that cannot describe by describing it apparently. But it cannot fully describe it because it cannot be described. It cannot be known because it's unknowable. But even thinking that it's unknowable is the knower thinking that it knows the unknowable. It's just an idea, thought in ideas, expressed in ideas to dispel the idea that it's an idea and not an idea. It just keeps on going and going and going. It's a dream, not, that is not really a dream, speaking in dreamlish, trying to expose that this is a dream and not a dream. because the one that's perceiving it is the dream. So the dream can't get out of the dream. Ridiculous, but also epic. It's epic. Um, since there's never been a me, but there's this persistence that there is a me, even when the me goes underground and it thinks it's a no me. Oh, there's no me now, or the me is falling away now. That's just another story. There seems to be less of me now. There's half of a me now. There was a full me before, but now it's not as much. there, there, or the me fell away. Hooray! But who fell away? I love going to these meetings because I feel the me is loosening its grip. That's just another story. The moment that you think there's something happening to the me, it's just reinforcing the me. It's a myth, it's a mythology. It's like a cult. So the cult of me, joins another cult of no me, thinking that it can talk to other no me's. Oh yeah, you know what? There's no me here. Everything is a story. And then when there's apparently a glimpse that there's no one here, that there's no me, the me comes rushing back and saying that, oh wow, there's no me here. And and get confused when the me comes back. And they're like, well, the me came rushing back. None of that is real. Nothing is real. It also feels real because it cannot be described as this and that because it's not this and that. It cannot be described as everything or nothing because it's not nothing or everything. It cannot be described as me or no me because there's no such thing as a me. All of these words are just pointing to something that's completely wordless. Even that, when someone hears wordless, they try to understand. The me tries to understand. Ooh, it's wordless. Ooh, wow. So the me learns how to be a no me. The me tries to understand what it is to be like a no me and goes to these meetings trying to get rid of the me. This is the day that I will get rid of the me. There's a meeting with Emerson, but there's no one here to get rid of the me. Because if there's no me here, there's no me everywhere. So I can't possibly do anything because there's no one here. And that no one can possibly drop away because there's no one there. And then the idea that this no one, oh, there's no one here. Fun. Until the me comes back, apparently. Until the me makes an appearance and says, well, I have to cook something. So it's like I have to cook something, I have to eat something, I have to do something. It becomes this idea that keeps on coming back. But that's unconditional freedom. It's wholeness. See, I'm using words here again, right? It's wholeness. It's completely free. And before you try to latch onto that word, it has already turned into an idea. It has already turned into a mythology. Okay, let's get to some questions. I think that was. Okay. I'll get to you, William, but here is David. David, hi, nice to see you.
Hi, Emerson. How's it
Yeah.
going? Can you hear me
Good.
okay?
Yeah.
Yeah, I blame Tony Parsons. It's his fault for
There's no
creating
Tony
all
Parsons.
the apparent Tony Parsons. He created all these me's, didn't he? I mean, I got into this non-duality a couple of years ago. Went to a retreat in Switzerland or something. I'd spent 40, 50 years of my life never thinking about a me. And for the last 2 years, I've done nothing but think about this fictitious me.
But
What's
isn't
that
that
all
wonderful
about?
as well? Because everything that you said to me is just a me story. There's no
Yeah,
Tony
definitely.
Parsons. There's no
Yeah,
40 years. What 40 years?
yeah. Yeah, yeah,
There's
yeah,
nothing that
yeah,
ever happened, and all that
yeah,
there is this is just an appearance, appearing as a me and you.
yeah,
But kind of like what you just came up there from the me mouth, the 20 persons and all of this stuff, and
yeah,
the all of that kind of stuff is just another idea to reinforce that there is a Tony Parsons, that he invented the me.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
He's my imaginary dad, and that's basically it. It's just coming up. It's just this self-generating me app. It's like a
Yeah,
Siri or an Alexa that keeps on
yeah,
coming back. The app just went there, and I just, I don't know if you saw that, but it's just a scene that just came.
yeah.
Yeah.
I'm kind of catching myself doing
Oh, that's
this.
Alexa. Just a second.
Okay.
Alexa, stop. That's
Um,
what I mean.
yeah. So what I found recently over the last week or so is there's kind of a noticing that
Mm.
at some level, so there's these all these the creation of the illusion, and then at some level there's a noticing of what's happening, like this sort of, you could say, fabrication, and the implication that there's some sort of controller or whatever, and it seems as though that's been caught. But then the sort of inner voice comes in and says, but is this me? Deep down at the fundamental level, is it me that's catching me, so to speak? So
Yes.
I'm left scratching my head, thinking, is there a distinction? I mean, is there a lowest level of kind of perception where you can catch it? But I think I just heard you whilst I was speaking, you said yes. So I take it from that it's all me, isn't it? Every single
Yes.
bit of that. Yeah, 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 yeah. Every last drop of that is
Yes.
what we're discussing, isn't it?
That's right.
Yeah, the whole lot, the basement included.
Yes.
Yeah,
Everything.
yeah, yeah,
Everything. Everything and
yeah,
anything and everything that shows
yeah,
up, that comes up, is everything that is seen, everything that is heard, everything that's understood or think they did not understand, is the me trying to, it's like this persistent cult leader
yeah, yeah,
brainwashing. You know what I'm saying?
yeah,
It's
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just this.
yeah, yeah,
Although there's no cult leader and there's no brainwashing, I'm just talking in
yeah,
stories and trying to, and it really believes it. It really
yeah.
believes it. It's
It
like,
believes it has complete control,
oh,
and
totally.
it believes it is really, really clever, and arguably it is really clever. But here we are talking about something that isn't.
No,
You
no.
know?
Even that is trying to make it into a story, right?
Yeah, yeah,
There's
definitely.
yeah,
Yeah,
even that,
yeah,
even that,
yeah,
because everything
yeah.
is a story trying to point out that it's just a
It's so
story.
it's so clever because it's building itself repeatedly
Oh
all the
yeah,
time.
yeah.
It's
It's everything.
rebuilding its foundations every single moment.
It's
That's
everything.
fascinating. Fascinating.
Fascinating. Nothing is
Brilliant.
everything.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. Okay, thanks a lot for that, Anderson.
Hey,
I'll let Will take over. All right, speak to you later.
come back again if you have any more questions.
Yeah, for
Um,
sure. Thanks.
William goes, I can't talk because I've lost my voice. I'm worried that I'll miss out as much of this as I would if I could talk to you. Does the fear of missing out for or not getting what I want no longer arise when you no longer feel like a person? Well, there's no person, right? So nothing really arises. There's really no fear or whatever arises. Since there's no one here and there's no one there, what seems to be happening is that there is just this arising. What's arising also um, falls. So it comes and goes, but no one notices it because it's happening automatically. It's happening at the same time. There's no distinction between this or that. Um, so even if you could not talk, even if this is not heard, it does not really matter, is what's being expressed here. Because what's being expressed here is already clear and obvious that there's never been anyone here. As I pointed out earlier, anything that shows up, anything that appears, disappears. It's unreal, appearing as real. It's all perceived by the perceiver, which is the illusion, the mythology that there's me. Sorry, I'm just going to mute David here. Um, and that's just a story as well. So everything is fabricated but feels real. Everything is a lie that poses as a truth. Everything seems happening, but it's not really happening. And all of that is just a story as well, and trying to expose that what seems to be happening is also a story. Even get rid of the word story, even get rid of the word nothing. It's just this. Question here. Oh, there's a follow-up question here. Maybe the me thinks that there are things that get in the way of my seeking and hold me back from finding what's missing. Again, that's just the app that kind of like came on and say that I am going to reassert my reality by thinking that there are things that are in the way of my seeking. Because the moment that you think that you are seeking, although there's no you, the seeking energy is believed. So the seeking energy is that there is something lacking, there's something missing, there's something to be found, something has to drop, something has to happen or unhappen, or the disbelief. I will never get this. This will never happen to me. Oh my goodness, what is he talking about? Nothing makes sense. I'm really confused. It's all of that is equally a me-thology. It's the me religion. It's a cult. Although this is just a story, this is like a a deprogramming of some sort. That's just a story as well because nothing needs to get deprogrammed. It's appearing as that. That's why there's confusion. That's why there's orientation sometimes. Um, because really, this is not a thing that's being spoken here. There's no thing. Even that is a thing in the me mind. There's no me, there's no mind, there's no nothing, there's no emptiness. It's just this. But everything is appearing as, let's just, it's again, it's like, speaking in dream to dispel the dream, to see that it's a dream, but really not a dream. So it speaks in language like everything is appearing as emptiness already. It uses language like there's nothing happening. It uses language like this is all wholeness and completeness. It uses language like this is unconditional love. But the moment that you capture that, the moment that that's understood or misunderstood, that's the me energy. It's a contracted energy that tries to contract the moment it thinks it gets something or did not get anything. So what usually happens, and this is just a story as well, is that there is this openness, or some people call it a resonance, that this is really just emptiness, that this is blank, that this is zilch, that this is zero. And before you get, there's no one choosing, before you understand what zero is, or what blankness is, or what oneness is, the clever, David said there's the cleverness of this apparent function that's not really a function, it's just an appearance, will try to grab it. They're like, ooh, wow. That's what's being said here. Nothing is being said here. And this is all meaningless and purposeless. There's a question here. Can the idea of a dropping no me or a dropping away of a me be an obsession? And who is dreaming? No one is dreaming. There's actually no dreams. It's like a dream, but not like a dream. I'm just using languaging here. It's kind of like almost to go behind the story and push it. That it's not real. The dropping of a no me or a dropping away of a me, yes, obviously, it can be an obsession because by getting obsessed that something will happen to me, it fuels the energy cycle of seeking, thinking that it can get somewhere, And if I only, do this and do that and everything, or I don't do this or do that, maybe I'll stop listening to this. Maybe I'll listen to 8 hours of this. It's the same thing because there's no one choosing. No one knows. The moment that you say, I know what you're talking about, it's like a ghost speaking. Um, Thanks, Emerson, for doing this one day with 4 sessions. I appreciate it. Why does this illusion feel so real? I don't know. But here's an attempt. Here's an attempt of I don't know. It feels real because there's a believer that is believed. There's a pathological liar that believes its own lies. There's a cult leader with the me following. But all of this is just, it suggests that it's real. And it does feel real. But it's a mystery. But what's even real? Really? It's just another idea. It's just another concept. So I can talk in concepts here to dispel the concept, but everything that's being expressed here is just a concept. It's just a concept trying to express a concept that it's a concept by conceptually pointing out that all of these concepts are just appearances of something that cannot be conceptualized. So I won't find anything here. No, because this is William. No, because there's no I and there's no here. Here and now and I and we are all just conceptual experiences of something that is a concept. So what's appearing here is just blissfulness and not blissfulness, freedom and suffering. So it's everything. So I can't really name, I don't have a word for everything that seems to appear because it's not really appearing. Question here. Anita. Anita, go ahead if you want to unmute yourself.
Yeah, hi Emerson.
Hi, Anita. How are you doing?
Yeah, so you can say nothing about it.
No.
No.
No. Yeah, that's what it's being expressed here, right?
Yeah.
Nothing about it, and um, nothing. There's this resonance of this boundlessness energetically. When there's an apparent seeing of this, there's this kind of like, oh wow, wow,
Mm-hmm.
and it's wordless. It's wordless. It's wordless. The blinking of the eye, although I'm saying in words, the opening of the mouth, the nodding of the head, is wordless, appearing as nodding of the head, blinking of the eye, looking,
Mm-hmm.
not looking. It's all of it. All of it is nothing. Everything is nothing,
Yeah.
emptiness is fullness. And before you try to make it into an idea, because you can't possibly, it's
Yeah,
idealized.
yeah, you can't say anything about it.
No.
Yeah, but yeah, uh-huh. But yeah, sometimes in daily life it looks like you have, yes, still there is a kind of a feeling I have to deal with that what is happening.
Yeah, so what you just did there is that you went to your storybook and looked at page 46.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And just saying that, well, according to page 46, in my daily life.
Yeah.
But let me go to chapter 4. It says that, yeah. So everything it's like a script, you know what I'm saying? But no one wrote it. It's just a script of the
Mm-hmm.
me trying to, it's everything, um, and nothing. But feel free to, what, I sound really harsh sometimes, because there's just this persistence,
No.
uh, you
Yeah.
know, uh, of the me trying to, and I'm just going to point it out, right? But say anything and see that it's just a page in a book that doesn't exist.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Anything that it comes back with is seemingly coming from a memory bank, but there's no memories, there's no time. So all that there is this, and there's nothing outside of this. So the me,
Yeah.
derives,
Sometimes memories are pumping up, so
there's no memories.
no memories.
No.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just simultaneously appearing spontaneously as
Mm-hmm.
this, and this, and this, and this.
Yes. Of
And it can't
course.
be known.
No.
No. How
Oh.
can it be known
Yeah.
if there's no time? It
Mm-hmm.
implies that there was a not knowing before and now knowing it. It's timelessness. It's appearing as this fractured, me, you conversations here, there. It's appearing in blinks. It's timelessness appearing as separation.
There is no separation.
Yeah. But before that becomes an idea, that's just an idea as well.
Yeah.
As you
I'm
said,
going to listen. There is no I, but there's listening. Yeah, thank you for this meeting.
no worries. We're just playing here. This is just play.
Mm-hmm,
But there's no
mm-hmm.
players.
No.
No.
Okay.
Okay. Oh, there's a question here. So Emerson, when someone is saying, I know what you're saying, when it's being expressed that there's no one they don't really know, is knowing an obstacle to what's being talked about. Yeah. Yeah, the moment that the apparent someone said it me as a headache. That's another story, but it's when there's a knower. So there's this apparent knower that seemingly is knowing. The knower and everything that it knows is really nothing. It's really not there. It's really beyond words. It's really wordless. That's why there, when people say that there's a resonance, it can't really be explained what that is. I'll attempt. It's emptiness, seeing its own emptiness. Because the seer is being bypassed by this boundlessness. The knower is being exposed as a fraud by this unconditionality. The judgment or the judge, the one that judges, it's seeing that it's pure and innocent. So everything that it judges is also pure and innocent because there's no two. There's no there's no separation. So the app called Me can be useful. Sometimes when people are showering, they're thinking, oh, you know what? I'm missing bananas and yogurt and candies for my grocery. It's like a note taker, right? The note taker. It in the apparent dream or in the apparent illusion, it makes things real, and there's nothing wrong or right about that. Again, this is just a story again. Um, but when it's seen that what seems to be happening is like a nighttime dream, again, don't land on any of this. This is not to. The moment that you think that you understand what a nighttime dream is, then the me took over. then the me has control again. It's the one that doesn't have any control, but there's the illusion of control that makes you wince and gasp and smile and laugh and cry, whatever it is. So there's no body, no sensations, no vibrations, no energy, no. This is just a blankness. This is stillness appearing as body, appearing as sensations, appearing as vibrations, appearing as energy even. That's why we use double words like boundless energy, full empty fullness, because it doesn't really have a word. It's this wordless that are being explained. It's kind of like it's like trying to explain a dance in words. But the moment that you explain it in words, the dancer has already moved into a different movement. You're like, okay, well, yeah. It's trying to express it in illusory words, something that cannot be really, really described. More questions here. Emerson, I feel like I'm dreaming when I listen to you. Why is that? Is this a form of hypnotism? um, no, no. um, because this is very dreamlike. When there's this openness and expansiveness and this boundlessness in this communication, the seeming contraction loosens, and this is just a story, and seeing that nothing is really happening. But no seer. So the seeing, the seen, the seeing, the seen, and the seer are all illusory. This is blindness appearing as vision. Oh, I forgot actually. The format actually of this one after this 90 minutes is I'm going to open up the floor and people, anyone can speak. You know what I'm saying? I might take a little break. Um, but the request is, a couple of people requested that it's a radical non-duality talk. And you guys can be the speaker because there's really no speaker and there's really no seekers, right? So I'll just open it and you guys can talk for an hour or not. Um, yeah, someone was asking me that. Emerson, are there more and more apparent people that are dropping away? I've seen some of your videos and you are a murderer. No, no one dropped away. Again, I always say that nothing really happens. There is this seeing, there's this seeing. So if you see those videos, there's this seeing that nothing is happening. There's never been a me here. So if there's never been a me, so there's no one that dropped. There's just this naturalness. There's just this clarity that nothing ever happens because it doesn't happen to anyone. Although, you know what I'm saying, in some of these videos, you see laughter happening because it's the seeing that that what was really held on to before, what was really kind of like really believed, is just a big fat joke. It's this release of like, oh wow, huh, no way, or what the fuck, it's just that. It's this. It's just this seeing that the one that is seeing and the seer and the seen is there's no separation. It's just this. It's just almost, I always say this before, it's kind of like you've been carrying a backpack full of rocks that's like 100 pounds. And then one day, someone said, I don't see a backpack. What are you carrying? And then if someone says, "Oh, yeah, there's no backpacks," and that's why they're slapped. But this is just a story as well. This is just a story as well. Um, Questions here. Emerson, after the apparent dropping away, did the languaging of this character Emerson deepen? There seems to be a clearer communication compared to your old interviews. In the story, there's seemingly, again, nothing happens. Nothing happens. This is just a story as well. Nothing happens. Um, in the story, there seems to be, there's clarity here, clarity here, but it was not coming out in words. And this is just a story as well. So when I was doing this, there was already clarity. There was this obviousness already that so I would do the retreats with Tony Parsons and Jim Newman, all of the speakers, all of the radical nautical, and then once in a while, someone would message me and say that, "Hey Emerson, I'm feeling really confused here," or I'm crying. So I would do a one-on-one with them, and usually what happens, it's like a twisting of the knife, and they just heard Tony or Jim or Kenneth say something, and the me is pleading. The me is really, really pleading. Please, please, hear me out. I'm like, well, I don't see anyone there. So that seems to be what happened. Is just this communication, apparently appearing in time that there's no time, and until seemingly by accident that there's no accident. There's no accidents as well. This is just a story. Seemingly that's what seems to be happened when Tony Parsons and Claire used to do these meetings. Claire would they would call Tony the Terminator, and then Claire would pick up the pieces. You know what I'm saying in the breaks. So that's what this character did, and there was just seeming passion in speaking about this. And someone suggested that I start speaking, but there's been clarity. It's not. Some people think it's because I hosted so many of these retreats that it's osmosis, or I stole all of their powers and I became Thanos. None of that happened. There was already clarity here, and there was just this easiness in communication of something that's quite obvious already. I'll get to you, Petra, but I have Anita first. Anita, please go ahead.
Yeah, Emerson, I think I already know the answer. It's not about about understanding. I know that already, but I heard you sometimes speaking about your I call it accident, when you were hit by someone and you
Yeah.
got into hospital and had some stitches in your head.
Yeah.
And then later on, you talked with your family about it, and then you say, nothing happened. So, yes, we can't understand it, of course, but
No.
then I think so that the stitches in your head looks like something has happened.
Yes, because everything is appearing and disappearing simultaneously. So there's no history. Everything is appearing and disappearing simultaneously. So what seemingly, even if you're looking at a picture of you as a 6-year old or as a baby, it's just there's no linear time, right? But this illusion is so expansive, this dream, we don't know what it is, that it shows what apparently happened in the past as this, but that never really happened. I'll use the dream analogy. I'll use the dream analogy as well, right? In the dream, for example, there's a dream that you got hurt. Someone basically said, "Go back where you came from," and they hit you, and then you ended up in the hospital, and then you had stitches on the back of your head. And then, although the piece painting itself, the moment that you see it, it's kind of like in a nighttime dream, right? The moment that you see it, none of that happened. Yeah,
Yeah.
none of that happened. Because all that there is this, and there's nothing outside of this. So even pictures appearing as, something from the past, or stitches in the back of my head, all that there is this, and there's nothing else happening. So what's appearing as stitches of what's appearing as stitches in the head is just this appearing as something that suggests a history, but there's no such thing as history. There's this imagery that time is linear that goes from here to there, but all of this is just this. It's really nothing appearing as stitches in the head or pictures or old songs that you remember. There's no history. Like in a nighttime dream, everything that you dreamt up in a nighttime dream, because in a nighttime dream, sometimes drink about childhood, friends, history, did not really happen. The moment that you wake up, or the moment that it's seen that none of it happened, the moment it's seen none of it happened, because none of it happened.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. William goes, they were jealous of your good looks. Yes, that's all that I have is good looks. Nothing else. Petra had a question earlier. Go ahead, Petra.
Yeah, hi. Another story. It seems like the me only can take screenshots and tries to relate to these screenshots, whereas the whole thing is so dynamic and just energy. But
Yeah,
tries to
totally. Yeah,
mhm,
totally.
to relate to the screenshots, and somehow it feels it kind of shot the target already.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I can't reach it even this way or
No,
from
no,
the other way around. Yeah,
no.
it's also just a story, of course. Yes.
Yeah.
Wow, it's so wow.
It's so wow. It's just
Mhm,
all wow, and
mhm,
it's just never been anything other than you can't really completely express it, right? Because
mhm.
it's I was telling this story yesterday. This is just a story as well. I was just sitting in the kitchen. My doggy's licking my feet, and um and I was looking at the fridge, and I just started laughing for 10 minutes. I'm like, I don't know what's funny. Like, it's just laughter happening over and over and over again.
Yeah. Mhm. By the way, I call you a midwife.
Oh,
Okay.
thank you. There's a question here from Anne. Anne, do you want to ask this question live or do you want me to read it? I'll read it. Anne goes, so if harassment by others is happening, then nothing is happening. Everything is nothing happening. But let me just give the story like a little bit of, because people are probably wondering what about that. So in the apparent story of Emerson, he was coming out of the restaurant and heard, go back where you came from. It was this apparent, passport kind of thing happening. There was a lot of, this is just a story, seemingly separation. And I woke up in the hospital. When I woke up in the hospital, there were police all around. And I basically said, what did I do wrong? And they're like, oh no, you got assaulted. Here's the video of it. So in that apparent happening, in that parent story, I guess this is just a story, there was this kind of like, the police said, did you want to confirm that? I'm like, yes. A bit of anger kind of like happened. I'm like, those, whatever. And then that's it. The character went home, and because it felt the pain was paining by itself. So there was this feeling of pain, but by no one. Um, the next day went back walking with the dog, and then people were quite confused. They're like, Emerson, are you denying this? I'm like, no, no, no. I said, I hope they get those guys. When the police kind of like said that they got those guys, I'm like, yes. So in the appearance of a dream, anything can happen, but it's also not happening. It's like having a dream at night and then confronting the characters when you wake up. It's just seen as nothing. It seems confusing, but it's really nothing. Victim services kept on calling this character, for like 3 weeks, maybe after a month or something, and asking are you all right? Do you want to book a? I'm like, there was really nothing here. There was this feeling, but it's not happening to anyone. It's not a denial because the body still had pain, but there was no making it into story. The old character Emerson would have made a post on YouTube or Facebook, made this a whole thing, made this into this elaborate thing. But when it's seen that everything just happens and then happens, there was just this relaxing about it. Okay. I hope that answered your question, Anne. Thanks, Emerson. I'm really enjoying this. There was a lot of anxiety earlier, and seemingly that anxiety has reduced. Is there something about this communication that relaxes the me? No, 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 no. This is not about the communication. It's just purely good looks. When you see someone. No, I'm just joking. They're seemingly an energetic that's boundless. And this is a story as well. There's this boundlessness that's being recognized as boundless. It's this unconditional freedom that's being expressed as words. So the wordlessness is seemingly almost kind of like a showing that the words are meaningless. Hey, Louis. What time is it there?
Oh, hey Emerson, it's good for me. It's 9:50 p.m.
Oh, wow, that's pretty good. That's pretty good.
Yeah, I just saw your email earlier and I was like, perfect time. No, I'm glad I'm here today. So I'm not in the best situation, and I'm glad somebody brought up about harassment and all that. And but what you've just shared and throughout the session, I think I already feel that energy has dissipated, that anger I had. But I do want to sort of
Yeah, sure,
maybe
yeah.
talk about it. I don't know.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, I mean, I just had a big fight with my dad. He's somebody who has a temper and all that. So he was kind of like yelling at my mom, right? And it happens once in a while, right? And then I couldn't control myself. I was trying to defend my mom, so I yelled at him, and I was almost I think I almost punched him, but I didn't. Like obviously, I just and sometimes I'm kind of like, I know somebody has also said, you can't be farther and closer to this.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'm like, I'm so far from it. I almost wrecked and almost, blah, blah, blah.
So what's being described here, is also the punch. It's also anger. It's also the appearance of that. But since it's everything, it's everything. It's peacefulness and chaos. It's anarchy and forgiveness. All of that. It's jealousy, it's bitterness, but all of these seemingly, separateness or whatever are not really separate. It's just the wordless or the emptiness appearing as whatever. And there's no one doing it. I've called this in a separate meeting, calling that this is instant forgiveness.
Yeah, I think obviously I don't really get that nobody's doing it, but I kind of know, like I just couldn't help it. I just reacted and but the thing is,
never did it actually.
Yeah, and there's no one there, right?
Yeah.
Because but I mean, we talk a few times. Like I've been doing spiritual work fast, a few years, and I had tried to control this anger. I've done things, and it seemed like it worked for a few years, and somehow recently it's come back in different areas of life.
Yeah.
And but I'm not using anything else. And I seem to be going to this message because I'm like, this is gonna solve it all, blah blah blah, and
no,
it won't. Yeah. But I guess because I've done other things and it seems to recur, and
so everything
it
that
doesn't
you
work
told me
either.
Is the story of Louis, self-improving.
Yes.
But where has it gotten you, really?
Yeah, exactly. And that's why, that's why this message resonates. But again, it seems like it's a loop. It's all.
It's a loop. Yeah, it's just a loop, and it's a pretty loop. It's a scary loop. It's like a roller coaster, but there's no one in it. It's highs.
Yeah, it's like the same stories.
It's the same story. It's like a rerun all the time.
Yeah,
It's like
Yeah.
a rerun of a sitcom, or depending on how the story is, sometimes it's tragic comedy, sometimes it's sitcom, sometimes it's romance, sometimes it's obsessive romance, sometimes it's whatever it is. Or sometimes it's just this unconditional, whatever it is. It's just a ride. No one's riding
And
it.
so I guess there's um yeah, for sure you don't have to be at a certain stage of your life. Like, I mean, somebody could be feeling really bad or doing something that's apparently horrible, and then suddenly that drops away, and
Yeah.
you know,
Well, what's being expressed here is just this. It's really really
mm,
simple, right? That
yeah,
there seems to be a me that keeps on reinforcing the me of shame and guilt, and and anxiety and depression, thinking that I am doing something, or I did not do something. The should have, the could have, the would have. I should have done that. I should have not done that. It's a story.
yeah,
Everything is pure and innocent. So
mm,
when the story is seen as just a running story about a story, true stories, when it's seen that loop just circling back and forth, when desire is seen as a desire to have more, a desire to have less, a desire not to have anything, having no desire, it's just a desire going in circles. I want to have peacefulness.
mm,
Peacefulness apparently happens. I want everybody to have the peacefulness. Then it becomes a teacher, and then I don't want this peacefulness anymore. I want some chaos. And it goes back into this desire, desire, desire. So spirituality is intoxication. Oh, you know what? I am liberated now. And then something happens like what apparently happens with your dad. And then I'm like, all that work that I did, I'm still not liberated.
yeah,
And then it goes many kind of like spiritual work and everything. But what's really happening, no one has any control. So if punching happens, forgiveness and apologies happen or not. It's
mm.
just what's happening.
Yeah. Like
Yeah.
when you describe the people kind of who attacked you, I kind of resonated that, like, okay, it's yelling apparently happened, but it never really happened. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't feel exactly the
Yeah.
same as just what happened,
Yeah.
because
Yeah. It's forgive all your illusions, although there's no you,
mm, mm,
right? It's forgiveness, seeing that there's nothing that happened. Um, even if you're the victim or victimizer, it's the same thing. It's the
yeah,
same thing.
yeah,
It's just all an apparent dream by no one. Again, I'm just talking in parables here, or not really parables, but just words of something that's already clear. That once it's seen that all that there is this, and there's nothing outside of this, anything that seemingly happened in a story did not happen really.
mm,
It's just this
yeah,
clarity. That's why there's this um, obviousness that no one got hurt. Like when you're dreaming
mm,
at night, you could have
yeah,
fallen. The moment that you're about to die, you wake up. You're like, oh, so no one is
yeah.
suffering. Even if it
Oh,
feels
that's
really real, because sometimes in a dream, you have nightmares and everything, and these nightmares feel really expanded and really expansive, and it's really happening to me. And there's sometimes even crying in a dream. The moment that you wake up from the dream, no one wakes up. I'm just using a story to dispel a story. I'm just using a dream analogy to show that there's no dreamer. So when there's an apparent waking up, everything that happened, that split second, everything that seemed to happen in the past did not really happen.
mm,
So since no one has ever slept and no one has ever woke up, how do you know that this is not a dream still? No one knows. See,
yeah,
that dream of that apparent, hitting of the father did not happen already. But since this is still a dream, um, forgiveness may happen, or maybe apologies may happen. It's actually not a denial.
mm,
It's like being in the dream, but not in the dream.
yeah.
Yeah.
Or apparent choices can appear to happen, like moving out, whatever it is, you know.
Yeah, yeah. It's all allowed because there's no one choosing.
Yeah,
If you yell and scream again, then it's seen there like, oh, this character is anger. And once it's seen, it's not taken seriously anymore. It's like a nightmare, but you're lucid dreaming. You know that it's a nightmare, that nothing will happen. It's just this, oh, wait a second, there it goes again. It's just a seeing.
Yeah.
There's no attachment to it anymore. It's kind of like, I always say this, it's kind of like having a pathological liar friend, best friend, that lies to you over and over again. Everything that the person says, you just you don't believe any of it anymore. It loses its touch. It loses its because it's talking in lies, basically. Yeah.
Yeah.
So anything that the me presents is an appearance of truth and lies simultaneously appearing. And really, there's no, you don't have a dad.
Yeah. I only understand it here, but that sense of obviously, but
It's
yeah.
funny, sometimes I see my parents bickering, and I just get into a fit of laughter because it's just like a sim characters, kind of like talking to each
Mm,
other. There's
yeah.
no one behind those eyes, and there's no one behind those mouths, and it's just this
Mm,
appearance of talking, or going to a mall and seeing all of these characters walking, shopping, and everything. I I
yeah,
I,
yeah,
I
yeah,
burst into laughter sometimes because it's just appearing as real, and it's really
yeah,
how would you say it? Really consistent.
yeah. It's a simulation. Yeah.
Yeah, but no one's simulating it, and no one is no one is there's no intelligence behind it.
Mm,
Even simulation is just an idea. It's really
yeah.
nothing. It's really nothing. But
Nothing.
um, I can't just you know um, yeah, it's really nothing. It's not even not nothing. It's really not anything at all.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. So there's this relaxing. There's this kind of like, oh, wow. It's like a joke that never lands. You just have to laugh.
mm. God.
It's like
Oh,
the
yeah. Oh, thanks. It is very powerful. Yeah, this message. Thanks.
You're welcome. Um, question here. Thank you so much, Emerson, for doing this. I've been seeking for years, and somehow it feels like I have arrived at a final destination, and that feels like death, or the absence of the seeker. Is the seeking just a seeking energy that feels authentic? There is relaxation happening here. I don't know what's going on. Um, what seemingly happened, as I said before, is that this is like the unraveling of the stories. This is seemingly like the unfolding. It's like the believer is being exposed as a fraud, and all that it believes tumbles down like a house of cards. So there's this house of cards, and there's made up of belief system. But the singular card, the trump card, is the one that believes all of this. So the one that believes all of this, the one that believes that I am going to fall away, is in the story. This is just a story, as seen as unraveling. It's almost kind of like a falling of all belief, all of the ideas that it thinks that is true and not true, and beginning to see that nothing really is happening. Nothing has ever happened, and nothing will happen. All that there is this appearing as something that happened in the past, appearing as something that's happening now, appearing as something that will happen in the future. All that there is this, and even this is not this. Thank you, Ollie, for that message. Thank you, Carol. There's a question here. It's a long question. Okay, he wanted to be anonymous. Sorry. If nothing is hidden, how come we can't see what is apparently obvious? Because the one that's seeing is the one that is the illusion. It's being filtered to the me lens. It's being seen through an idea that, this is happening to me, life is happening to me. So it becomes limited, it becomes conditional. Life becomes a condition, life becomes a concept, life has a meaning, life becomes something with a purpose, life becomes a journey. Then I am becomes the one that's a central figure in this story. The I am becomes the one that needs to get liberated. So it becomes very me-centric. So when it's very me-centric, everything that it sees is seeing through the lens of separation. Everything that is being observed is coming from an observer that's not really there. It's almost like a schizophrenic, seeing separation, you and I, this and that, something in the past, something in the future, something that happened, something that did not happen. So it's kind of like it's like an asylum, you know what I'm saying? It's just this madness that's happening, and not seeing clearly that the lens that is looking at is the lens of separation, the lens of judgment, the lens of suffering, because it tries to, although this is just a story as well, you have to keep on reminding you guys that I'm just talking and narrating here a story, just to dispel the story. It sees through an experiencer, but there's no experiencer, so it experiences things through independently. This is my pain, this is my attack, this is my trauma, this is my freedom. All of these are just words of something that's happening whole and completely. Words are just to separate all of this into a my or an I. But nothing is happening. Question here. If this is freedom already, how come I don't feel this unconditional freedom that is being said? I think I just answered that, and I'll clear it up again. I'm just going to drink water. When there are conditions put in freedom, or when there's a definition put in freedom, there's a description of what freedom is. It's not already freedom. When there is an expectation of what freedom is, when there is a longing for freedom, it's not already freedom. When there is an understanding or even a misunderstanding of freedom, it's not already freedom. Because freedom is already free. It doesn't need a fractured idea of what it is. It doesn't need a personalized view of what it is, because it's already free. So whatever arises is freedom already. Even the arising idea that I am not free is freedom appearing as I am not free. Freedom doesn't really have any words because it's unconditional. It's like bottling, you put freedom in a bottle, and then you think you can drink it every day. But freedom is appearing as whatever. It could be a really painful, throbbing finger after you get caught in a garage door. That's pain free. That's pain painting itself, and that's freedom as well. It could be a sobbing when someone dies. This grief. Although no one is here, there's this sadness that comes, and it comes out as liquid coming out of your eyes. And then there's uncontrollable sobbing about the loss. That's also freedom. Or it could be this idea that, I feel really ridiculously, inept or whatever. That's also freedom. Because in freedom, everything is allowed. Everything is allowed. The moment that we seek freedom, you've fractured your freedom already. because freedom is free and there's nothing that is not free. Okay, next question. I hope that answered your question. Emerson, can you do a 10-day Zoom event? We just won't stop, you know? We just won't stop until everyone dies. I'm just joking. Um, there are no 10 days. And again, that's just basically it's just this reinforcing that something needs to happen. So I am making this that it will not happen today. So it must happen in 10 days or 2 days or something. It let's give it 10 days. No, no, no. What's being expressed here is already here. It's already this. Even without this meeting, it's already here. Because it's not here, it's not there, it's not found in this meeting. I can say that this meeting is pointless. But since you're here, I'm going to ask the question next. Oh, Emerson, I got Zen slapped the last Friday meeting, and I'm still trying to recover. I'm now a complete mess. Well, that seems to be what's happening over there. No one got slapped. It's just freedom slapping. And that's what slaps. This is just a story. This is just a story. And not a story, too. William asks, so last Sunday, we had some pop-up surprise meetings with you that didn't actually happen a week ago. There's no last Sunday. The memory is just this appearing as that memory. Yeah, there's really no memory because there's no time. So even 1 second ago is not true already. And this is also not true. That's why nothing happens. You can't even say nothing because nothing is just another description, and then you're trying to imagine what nothing is. So there's no Sunday, there's no Monday, because all that there is this. And there's just this tendency in the story to name things to separate it. I think time got invented or became popular when people were trying to sell wristwatches. When it came into harvest time. But that's also a story. Otherwise, there's no time. It's just the time teller is the illusion. It's the root. The one that says, well, there was a meeting last Sunday, and I see posts that you did it. I have recordings of it, Emerson. So what? That didn't really happen. Everything is appearing simultaneously, spontaneously, like that remix video. Simultaneously, spontaneously, no gaps. Timelessness appearing as time, simultaneously, spontaneously. Stillness appearing as movement, simultaneously, spontaneously. And this is a rerun, simultaneously, spontaneously. So nothing in the past happened. None of it is true. None of this is true. Even me saying none of it is true is also not true. There's a question here. Emerson, are you just really trolling us? No, there's no one here trolling you. Well, kinda, but no, just joking. I'm not going to read that question, Kane. um, Emerson, there's so much resonance here, and I don't know what's happening. When I speak to you, there is stillness. It's all really just stillness. It's all just really stillness. There's no one here and there's no one there. So when that evaporates, when that's seen the idea or the holding off to this idea that there's an Emerson and then there's someone that happened to Emerson, something has happened to me, then when it's seen that everything is just stillness, when it's not made into an idea. But the moment that you make stillness into an idea, it's just this resonance, and you don't really know what it is. And I can't really even say what it is. There's just this resonance that is resonating with the I don't know, with the wordless, with the nothing happening. Anita goes, let's all say together spontaneously, simultaneously. Even if we don't say it together, it's still all simultaneously, spontaneously happening together because there's no separation. There's this idea that there's a lag in time, that there's a before and after, that there's an inward or an outer, that there is this or that, but really none of it that is true. Okay, Emerson, can you please explain what is appearing from your perspective? There's no one here, so there's no one appearing in this perspective. Completeness, wholeness. I can't really describe it because the moment I try to make it, I say a word about it, it becomes a perspective. It's the same there because there's no here and there. So what's being seen there is just one seeing. There's no separate seer here. There's no separate seer there. It's just a seeing. There's no seer. No one is behind those eyes. It's all empty. The me is trying to kind of like think of what empty is now. I'm like, empty. That sounds really peaceful. That sounds really ideal. Again, all of these words are just pointing out to the one that can't be pointed at. This is from Nikki. Nikki, do you wanna talk, Nikki? If you want to chat, you can unmute yourself. I'm just going to read what Nikki said here. Nikki said, people say often, where did time go? Can I believe it's been a year? Time is flying, time is dragging by, etc. Everyone knows time isn't real. There's seemingly a resonance that there's no time. But the me appears in time. The me does not appear in timelessness. So the me is always thinking about the past or the future or the now. But timelessness doesn't have a future, a past, or a now because it's timelessness. It has no location. So even the power of now is time, is timelessness being fractured into the now. So since there's no now, there's no past, there's no future, it's just boundless timelessness. It never really appears. Go ahead, Anne. Hi, Anne. Oh, I can't hear you, Anne.
I'm muted. Can
Hello?
you hear me now?
Yes, I can. How are you?
I'm good, thank you. How are you?
I'm excellent.
Emerson, I see you sitting there,
Yeah.
looking like you're in the newsroom,
Yeah.
giving some news. So I want the news.
Oh.
It's my expectation, just seeing
Yeah.
that whole setup the way it is, that something, what I'm hearing isn't what I would expect to hear in that context, but
Yeah.
the expectation is because it's set up like that, because everything's set up the way it is,
Yeah,
that
yeah.
there's an expectation that it's going to be a particular way.
Oh,
But it's like,
it's just that's just the illusion trying to make the illusion real. It's
yeah,
putting conditions into it when this is really just unconditional, right? The
yeah,
reason that this character sees that it's a character,
mm,
and it's the same there too, meaning that there's no one here. So whatever get up or set up or whatever seems to be happening here is just because the speaker appearingly was hosting other speakers in an apparent history of this apparent character that never really happened.
mm,
So it's catching, seeing that that the one that the Anne saying that, well, there's something happening there. He is the news, or there's this setup that way. So you just added an idea of something that
mm,
doesn't really have any ideas, something that doesn't really have any agenda. You just ended up putting an agenda into an
mm.
agendaless, and that's completely all right. There's nothing wrong or right about that. That's just what's happening.
Okay, because I put up the harassment question
Yeah, yeah.
earlier,
Mm-hmm.
and so it's it's really I okay, difficult if it's like a constant. It so
if
if there
if if
if
in the
there's
dream, I always say this, if in the dream
yeah,
there seems to be harassment happening,
mm,
um, then someone asks for help in the dream as well. There's nothing wrong or right about that. I always say this: if somebody is going through some apparent, depression, this is not the
mm,
communication for that. There are therapists that could do that, right? It's kind of like it's the same thing.
mm,
If your house is on fire, you're not going to call Tony Parsons and say, "Is there nothing happening and there's no one here?" Surely you will burn and get third-degree burns.
yeah,
The dream is the dream of separation and realness, right? So if harassment happens, reporting also happens.
yeah,
Seeking help also happens. There's nothing wrong or right about that. For example, if the police came to me and said that, would you like to press charges? Yes,
mhm,
that also
mm,
happens. That's also unconditional freedom, appearing as,
yeah,
yeah. It's not, you're not going to say, although I was confused because the victim services kept on calling me, and I didn't really
mm,
want to waste taxpayers' money in going to victim services when really nothing was felt here, right? There
uh-huh,
was this
mm,
initial kind of like shock and like, what
mm,
happened? Am I in trouble? No,
mm,
no, actually you got attacked. I'm like, oh, that's what happened. So there's this anger, and
mm,
then it appears and disappears. There's no more storyteller that drags this story into a mini series. It doesn't make it into a sequel. It's seen as a tragedy, it's tragic, and it's instantly seen as an unhappening as well. Although, you know what, this character had some stitches, and
mm,
when the apparent, kind of like, that pain, it's just pain painting itself. But in the story, if someone is getting harassed,
mm,
then reporting, seeking help happens, talking to someone happens, because this is the dream that feels real. It's a
mm,
dream of cause and effect.
mm,
Yeah,
mm.
yeah. If you feel like talking to me, Anne, please do. Yeah, you can call me.
Okay,
Yeah,
okay,
love
yeah.
you.
Thank you. Love
Yeah,
you, Emerson. Thank you.
okay. There's a question here. Emerson, you said in your video that you see dead people. Can you further explain who's seeing the dead people? This got asked before too. There's no one. I'm just using the word dead because everything is dead. This is death. Death is like nothing is happening. Death is the death of suffering. This is death. So there's dead people or zombies thinking that they're walking, um, controlled by the me hunger of seeking. Just zombies dead. It's just moving. Kind of like when I say when I walk in a mall or I see my parents, or it's like watching a dog. It's just like watching a TV show. It's not really happening. But because this apparent illusion is so expansive and it's so intuitive, intelligent, although that's all a story as well, everything that seems to be happening is perfectly happening without a you. It's just all automatic, simultaneously, spontaneously. Petra. Hi.
Yeah. Hi. This is definitely home for no one, and
Yeah.
never left. And
No. No one can leave.
it's
because
not.
it's
It's not possible to leave it, because it's it's just it, and it can't be any other way. So, and even if Alexa taking over, apparently sometimes it can't be any other way than to be perfect. So.
Yeah, yeah. So it's not about getting rid of something that's not there, but
No,
seeing
but
that,
there's
but
nothing's there.
appearing is also not appearing.
Right.
Yeah. Yay.
It's so funny how the add-on tries to make it mine, or
Yeah.
to grab it. So it's impossible anyway. But
It's
it's fun.
impossible.
It's fun. Most of the time, it's really fun.
It
The
is,
tragedy,
isn't
the
it?
comedy.
It is.
Wow.
It is. It is.
Yeah.
It's a comedy of errors, right? It's just a
Yeah.
comedy. It's just this. It's just all of this is a story, but it's just so fascinating
Yeah.
when it's seen without the seer making
Mhm.
judgment. Even if the seer is saying, "I don't like that, this, and
Yeah.
that," it's also seeing all of that. It's not. It's not about separation. It's seeing
No.
everything. And I know what you mean. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right. Question here. Um, do you talk to other non-duality speakers and you guys hang out? No, there's no non-duality speakers. And no one hangs out. But apparently, uh, speaking happens to each other. Laughing. Smiling. Confusion. Whatever happens, happens. It's not happening to anyone. Question. Oh, sorry. Emerson, can you talk about the suffering in the world? No, actually, because the seeing here is that there's seemingly this story about suffering and everything, and and it's just seen as a real and an unreal happening simultaneously. This is not a denial, and this is also not an acceptance. It's just a seeing. It's just a seeing that nothing is happening, but it appears that something is happening. But since there's no one here to happen it to, it's just seen as a vivid, lucid dream with no one in it. So who's suffering? But if this character sees, I always say this, there's this tendency of this character to be giving and everything. If it sees someone suffering, it will hug it, feed it, clothe it, whatever. This is the biggest misconception about this communication. It's just bypassing. No, it's not actually. Bypassing is just another idea. But everything is actually lived almost fully when there's no one there. It's like the blinders are off. It cries more, it laughs more. It's like a little child with no sense of identity. Bertrand. Hey, Bertrand.
Hi.
Hi.
Can you hear me? Yeah.
What time is it there, Bertrand? Where are you?
I'm in the UK. It's
Oh,
2:30.
okay. I
Yeah,
was
yeah.
looking for your light, that's why.
Oh, okay. Yeah. What was it? You were saying at the beginning something. It's a story that it's a story that it's a story,
About a story?
but it keeps going.
Yeah. I'm going to repeat. I'll try, attempt anyway to repeat, right? It's a story trying to dispel a story that is a story. It's to reveal that it's a story. So the story keeps on repeating over and over again. So the story tries to understand the story that can never be understood by telling stories that is not a story. So it's just a story circling around in stories, is what is being pointed out here. So the story is telling that this is not a story, but that's also a story. So it can't get out of the story. Even when it says that there's nothing or there's no nothing, that's still a story. Because
So
it's
it's
coming.
just
Yeah.
so it's never ending then. Well, not never ending, like
It's simultaneously appearing as nothing, appearing as everything simultaneously. So it's a story appearing with the wholeness or the emptiness. But again, that's a story. See what I just did there? Trying to point at a story by a story.
that's impossible.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. That's why this communication is impossible, that there's nothing that can really be said to dispel the story because it's sounding. Oh, sorry. My sound is a bit low. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I could
Yeah,
hear
yeah.
you
Okay,
actually.
okay.
So, yeah.
So yeah, so the story is trying to figure out to get outside of the story, but even outside of the story is also a story. It's a never-ending cycle of stories. And even when you say that there is nothing or there's no nothing, that's all a story too. So anything that's uttered by anyone is coming from a storyteller. Anything and everyone, because there's no one. So it's fiction trying to point out fiction by saying something fictional. And hoping that it catches that everything is fiction.
Oh, so
So it's trying to figure it out again. See, did you just catch it? The me is trying
yeah,
to figure out what's being said, but it can't be figured out because the one it's trying to figure out is the illusion, is emptiness, it's nothing. This is nothing, and this is also not nothing.
gosh.
We'll end it with that, and I'm gonna
Okay.
stop the recording. Thank you so much, everyone. I'm gonna open up the thank you.